Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have Dr. Joylyn Stover joining us here, our owner, life, and transformational coach at Transform Life Project from beautiful Jackson, Michigan. Welcome to the show today. How are you?
Well, thank you, Jill. I'm doing great. It is so great to be with you and such an honor to be able to have this conversation with you and all of our listeners.
Well, thank you. Same here. So I'm reading that you're from Jackson, Michigan. Is that where you are currently?
Currently in Jackson, Michigan.
Beautiful. I have a son named Jackson, so I love any city named Jackson. So never
Aw.
been to Michigan yet. That's on my bucket list.
Okay, anytime.
Well, thank you. It's
You're
exciting to get to
welcome.
talk to you about the Transform Life project. And would you mind just telling us a little overview?
Yeah, I would love to. So Transform Life Project, it's about seeing a person as a process of becoming, which this is a continual process moving toward possibilities and values. And it holds that the person is ultimately responsible for making choices of their life.
Got it. And how did you get involved in this? I mean, there's a great backstory here, which I'm excited that we're going to get to know you, where you grew up, a little bit about your background, what brought you here, and of course, your educational path as well. So, I mean, there's so much to start with. I'm not sure where we should begin. How
Okay.
about
Yeah,
just
how about the
a bit about
beginning?
yourself, please? Give us the beginning. Yes, thank you.
Well, and that's why I'm happy to have this conversation today, because I feel like this is a window into what is the methodology of coaching that I've been studying and I practice. So it's called emergence coaching. And emergence coaching, it's about that unfurling, unfolding, and it uses the emergence coach as a person who will help discover the underlying life project. So I use the term life project as my business name. The life project originates from the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre. So Sartre was this amazing, brilliant philosopher, and he defined a person's basic choice of attitude or mode in the world in which an individual assumes full responsibility for creating meaning and purpose in one's life. So if we can think about a person's life project being this wholeness and totality of the meaning of someone's life. So if we can, often in my schooling, we use ourselves. I'm the experiment. So if we use myself as the example and we look at my life project, this will help bring us up to speed of how this came to be and who I am as a person. So we can do an analysis. This is like an Adlerian analysis here. If we look at my role in the family. So I'm a middle child. Actually, my sister's here giving me like thumbs up in the
Hi,
back.
sis.
Yes, Bethany. Yay.
Hi, Bethany.
She's so
Showing
supportive.
support. That's wonderful. We love it.
We do love it. And the cool part about my family is my brother is also has his doctorate in the same work. So he's in Chicago and he is working on actually trauma, space from trauma informed to a space of trauma engaged in the school system. So very cool. So very cool to just have this opportunity to talk with one another and be able to share, the work that we're doing. So back to life project. Middle child, look at me as a 5-year-old. And as children, the way that it works, we have experiences in life, and then we make meaning of whatever occurs. So I had an instance where I was trying to get my mother's attention, and we had actually been traveling around in the car. I'm 5. I wake up, and when you're a child, you wake up out of the stupor, and the only thing you want is like, mommy. And I see her at the front door, and my instant interpretation as a 5-year-old is she doesn't care about me. Like, Mom, where are you going? And she really needed to use the restroom. So, there's, from the adult logic standpoint, we can come to understand how those things occur and what's happening, and we can have logic. But as a 5-year-old, I'm really hurt, and I think that I don't matter, and that the world must not really care about me. And guess what? I'm going to get out of this car and I'm going to run away. And I ran to the bus stop. And in my mind, I remember thinking, I'm going to find a family that actually cares about me. that's that is like the essence of those choice moments where in the moment I made a choice to define the meaning of what was occurring in my life. So then we have to look at, well, how then, so this is the emergent coach work. Emergent coaches look at how then does the momentary choices that we make, and if we're in a coaching session, I'm going to be looking for, how is this person responding in this here and now? What is the dynamic between their past and their present? And how is this, what I'm observing, informing who they are as a person? And what occurs is the difficulty in being stuck as an adult is that we've developed habits and also beliefs about who I am in the world, what I expect of the world. We develop those at such early ages, 5 years old, 6 years old. Alfred Adler said by the time we're 7 years old, our personality is baked. And we really don't change our personality unless we do intentional growth work. So most of the world looks through the lens of a belief system from a belief system that was developed when we were very young children. So
Wow.
isn't that an interesting thing to look at? And the special part of the work as adults is that now we can start consciously looking at, how do I respond to circumstances, adversity in life, and we know
Yep.
that our life project is then defined by those instances of adversity.
Wow. Well, hold on. This is fascinating. So this all comes from childhood. So you basically were inspired, right, to get into this field because of your experience as a child. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, as a child, middle kid, so I've got the
Yeah.
middle kid syndrome, being a
Yeah.
peacekeeper, being the glue of the family. Also, I was never that ghost child. My brother will listen to this and go, "Oh, joy." Yeah. But I was also the mediator between my parents and the interpreter of their marriage. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s, I really didn't know, like, how do you support people, adults, couples, families, to have authentic communication, to be in your emotions, to not flee when we feel uncomfortable, to actually face this obstacle. So that's part, goes back to that life project. If the life project is, when I was a child, I would flee like running to the bus stop, versus coming back and addressing that original instance. So for me, it would be, hey, mom, what happened? I really wanted you to pick me up out of the car, and I felt hurt and sad that you ran into the house. And we just don't have those abilities, that the cognition, I mean, from a neuroscience perspective, those prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of our consciousness and drives all of our conscious thinking, doesn't develop until we're about 25 years old. So basically from until we're 25, we are functioning from automatic responses, habits, what we were taught from our society, from our family, and really functioning from a more primitive part of our brain than the limbic system.
Well, let me ask you this. I just want to remind everyone of the website. I'm also watching the time, transformlifeproject.com. And I want to make sure we kind of go down the road of the emergence coaching, the looks to facilitate the process. You say becoming a distinct self. You want to talk about transformation today, requiring that self-awareness, life patterns, and all that you're doing to help so many. So let's continue.
Thank you. Thanks for grounding us, Jill. Yeah, I think like where this work is really emerging. Um, this work. So I've talked a little bit about the existential thinkers. So we also have Heidegger, who looked at meaning of life, and Viktor Frankl is also Heidegger was your being in the world. Viktor Frankl was about what is the meaning of your life. But also emergence coaching comes from the human potential movement. So we have Abraham Maslow, who really looked at who it is that you're becoming and who you can become. And also we have Carl Rogers, who helped us understand, how is it that we can be with ourselves and be with another, to go into the world of another person. And how that transitions today in today's world, emergence coaching now really develops a mutual process between the client and also the coach, that there's a mutual relationship between the two, but also a
Mm-hmm.
mutual emergence. So if we were coaching together, you would be having your experience of emergence as also I am. So as you are being triggered, and so then we have more of this co-creative
Yeah.
developmental space between us. And I want to say that where it comes from, like from where it's evolving today. So much of my fellow practitioners came from the Right Foundation for the Realization of Human Potential, which is in Chicago. And then that has actually evolved. There's a group now doing Human Emergence Group in Chicago, led by Dr. Mike Zwell. And then also this coaches are being developed and taught this methodology at Maharishi International University. That's led by Drs. Gordon Medlock, Drs. Mike Zwell, Drs. Lisa Sandin, and Dr. Karen Terry. Just wanted to name like who are these
Of
foundations
course. Aw.
today? Yeah. And so it's just such a beautiful place. I wonder if you have any questions.
Well, let me ask. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who may say, first and foremost, coaching with you, right? You're virtual. You can work with people anywhere.
Anywhere. Yes.
Awesome. And you say, are you ready for emergence? Well, let's talk about some of the benefits that coaching can bring to the table, if that's okay. Would you mind being a little more specific and tell us there's certain areas that people come to you for that that you can help them thrive in?
Thanks, Jill. I think the number one area is gaining clarity. So what happens is that we get stuck and we might not understand what it is. Why do I get into this situation? And I feel like I've been here before, if we've ever had that experience. So working with myself as emergence coach, I'm looking for where do I see this repetition, or where can I listen to uh, the actual life project, the meaning that you're giving yourself. So a very good example is I really like Werner Erhard, who was he established EST, and it was this amazing human potential, an existential thinker. I've always played this for my students, this podcast that he did, and he says that anytime you hear someone say a complaint, notice that that is their strategy to evade dominion of their life. And I think that is it. We're listening for how do we flee, avoid, hide, fight, justify, shame, blame, go into drama, like these patterns. And just notice, and that's the other part. Like I wanted to like be really nice, like it's like a self-acceptance. It's all about this responsibility piece of owning that I am the author and the creator of my life. And that whatever results I see in my life, that's actually because that's what I created. And so I think like that, the clarity
Yeah.
of every moment by moment choice has the potential, the possibility of creating newness in my life. And any time that I feel like I want to complain, that is to notice, am I helpless? Am I a victim to my circumstance? Or
Yeah.
am I actually an empowered human being that can do something in this moment? And it calls
Beautiful.
us to take a stand, to use our voice, to express ourselves, to generate our aliveness. And ultimately, like that is, I think aliveness is the key. And sometimes we're afraid of our aliveness. So the other big component is the emotional capacity to really be with ourselves in our fear, our hurt, our anger, our sadness, and then fully feel our joy.
Got it. Well, there's still so much more that I know you want listeners to know about you, and all that's inspired you into this field and about the work you're doing, and specifically what Transform Life Project is all about. So again, just want to have everyone reach out to you via the website. Any contact pages, any social media pages you want to share before we continue?
But I think the best one is the website will get us right to the heart. And then eventually, like this is you and I, this conversation, this is like the beginning of creating additional content and access to this information.
Did you want to share the contact information, did you say?
Oh no,
I didn't.
I just meant that just going to Transform Life Project is the best place to go. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I still have all these notes from you. I'm not sure what to, what you want to include for today or for another time. So let me have you, explain. Do you want to dive into more about some, people you've helped and give us some examples, or talk more about,
I have this story you might like.
Sure.
It happened yesterday. So
Oh, okay. This is current. I love it.
oh yeah, I'm sitting at the nail salon. Got my nails done for
Yay.
our engagement because right, we're becoming self-respecting women that we matter. Everything matters. So I'm sitting next to a mother who also is a exquisite woman. She's well decorated and has beautiful makeup, beautiful clothing. And she has her daughter next to her, and her daughter may be about 10 years old. And the mother says to the technician, my daughter would like watermelons on her fingernails. It doesn't matter, what they look like, just, make them big and whatever's easiest for you. It doesn't matter. She's not picky. And the daughter just sat in this frozen look. And I'm over there just like in the sinking feeling, like, oh, ouch, ouchie, like not picky, like when you go from one contrast to the other. And the daughter just had this blank look on her face and she nods her head. And so it was that's the moment, that critical choice point where the daughter could actually generate her aliveness to say, whoa, that hurt my feelings. What's wrong with being picky? If we're picky, that means that we have wants and needs, and our wanter isn't broken. Our wanter is working just fine. And often that's what happens in it's the socialization process that when we're growing up, our parents want us to behave in a certain way and fit into society. But that's the moment. And then the other piece is to look at the mother's life project of it. There's a purpose behind her statement. And, it would be better for her, most likely, to have a child, a daughter specifically, that wasn't picky and didn't have expectations, because then there wouldn't be competition, or there would, there's so many things to look. That's what we can infer from just that little moment.
And your daughter's how old? 11?
Mine, she's 11.
And then you have stepsons too, right?
3 stepsons, yes.
Oh my goodness. I have a 7 and 9-year-old, 2 boys. So I'm Liz, as I'm talking to you, I'm picturing, your life as well and your children. So
that's awesome. Yeah, 7 and 9 is the best ages. That is, especially with boys, so that's another piece, a component to my work. We also have a nonprofit that we teach life skills to children and their families. And currently we're working on a project called Build Your Stand, where the students our teams learn to build a fruit stand, and we're showing up at a farmer's market. But the idea is that we're going to build whatever we draw, and we're going to create products and offer to the community. And we're going to do this with our parents.
Wow. Well, let me ask you, you started coaching, was it 2016? And now how long have you been a professor for as well? This is a college, are you professor or college curriculum developer? And professor, yes, okay.
I'm doing both. Yeah, thank you. It's been 1 year at the University of Olivet. And I've been teaching organizational behavior, and this is an interesting one. And then I taught accounting 2 last semester.
Oh, wow.
Exactly. So that is a perfect adversity situation where that may not be what I'm strong at, but let's put a person into accounting and see how this transformational person, can she walk the talk? That's the question. And guess what? One of my students told me that was his favorite class he's ever had.
Oh,
So
see?
proof is in the pudding.
I agree. Well, Transform Life project. Let me ask. You said it's emergence coaching. So someone tuning in right now may say, "Well, how does that differ from life coaching?" Could you just share a little bit more about the process?
Oh, absolutely. Well, life coaching and emergence coaching, very, very similar. Coaching is similar. So that was why it was for me to go back to this process of what is in defining emergence coaching. It's a modality that utilizes existential thought, humanistic potential, developmental. So we're looking at how did we form what's in our unconscious thinking and how do we unraveling. So I don't know that a life coach would actually be focused on these core disciplines. They might be, and that's why I named the other thinkers that I've been studying with and where they're studying, because it is an emerging field and becoming more of a distinct entity. But there are, and we're working as a whole of emergence coaches to define it. I think another good definition is looking at the systems perspective of this is key for people who are stuck, that the first law of systems is that the system seeks to maintain stasis. So even if we want to have some form of change, we have to understand that our system would that it might be too dangerous to make any change. But we also, the second law is that we have a transformational imperative and that we have a deep desire as human beings to transform.
Let me ask. Now, you mentioned the word, transform. How did you come up with the name of the company?
Oh, thank you, Jill. Well, my actual degree, it's a educational doctorate in transformational leadership and coaching. So there's that aspect that's a little long to rattle off. And for me, the life project has been the greatest metaphor to help me understand life and how then do we help support other people to understand why we are the way that we are, and how then do I challenge my belief systems and then become this person. And here it's not all, I've always thought it was about find your purpose, find your mission, but those are sometimes just one thread. A life project tells us and allows us to know that it's a whole lifetime of and transformation. So not just one thing, but it encompasses a lifelong learning.
Well, what did you want to leave your listeners with today about you, your services, and all that you can provide?
Oh, thank you, Jill. I would just like to create that invitation. If you are interested and you find this an interesting topic and a space that you want to explore, you want to go into the unknown with someone who's been trained in emergence coaching, I highly recommend you give me a call.
And share the number, please, and the website, any form of contact, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, the website is www.transformlifeproject.com. And you can email me there at Joylyn at transformlifeproject.com.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. And again, say hello to the family for me. And thank you so much for joining us. And I hope, are we going to connect again soon to talk more?
I hope so. That would be great.
All right, great. Looking forward to hearing more of the ways that you're helping people. And thank you again for being here. Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. It's my pleasure.
No, same here. Thank you. Ditto. Have a great day, okay? And good luck being mom, right? Do they get home from school soon?
Yes, it's about time. 3 o'clock. Yes.
Good. Yeah, mine a little later. But all right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.